friends, and welcome to our pro-life reflections on the readings for the 27th Sunday in Year A. The first reading and gospel passage assigned to this Sunday talk about the vineyard of the Lord, and the fact that those to whom the vineyard was entrusted did not properly respond to the Lord or yield the fruit he was looking for. Instead, they broke his covenant, killed his prophets, and eventually killed his son, and had the vineyard taken away from them. God entered into a covenant of life with his people from of old, and the prophets spoke untiringly of the demands of that covenant, both in regard to what the people owed God and what they owe one another. Those who worshiped God were to help their neighbor. Those who believed in the God who rescued them were bound to care for and rescue one another. The failure to do this led to such rebukes as we hear today from the prophet Isaiah. The gospel parable refers historically to the history of God's people killing the prophets, who urged them not to worship false gods or make covenants with death. A good summary of the history of the people's rejection of the covenant is found in Psalm 106. God's people, having inherited the promised land, still had to do battle with the foreign nations around them. They were told not to adopt the practices of those people, for they did not know the true God. God's people, however, did mingle with these other nations and even joined in their rituals. The most grievous of the sins of God's people was when, in imitation of the pagan nations, they sacrificed their sons and daughters to demons. They shed innocent blood, the blood of their sons and daughters, as Psalm 106 says. Rather than bearing the fruit of life, rooted in true worship, they bore the fruit of death, rooted in false worship. True worship, instead, would have led the people to embrace the prophet's admonitions to do justice, redress the wrong, hear the orphan's plea, defend the widow, Isaiah 1:17. Or as James puts it, looking after orphans and widows in their distress makes for pure worship before our God and Father, James 1:27. Those who are most defenseless in our midst today are the unborn. This line of thought can then be applied to us, first and foremost, in that we are entrusted with a vineyard too, which is the new and everlasting covenant in the blood of Christ. That covenant is renewed in the Eucharist, where we resolve to bear good fruit for the Lord, as his life-giving body and blood are given to us. We will not betray the covenant with which we are entrusted. As of old, so today, that covenant gives us obligations to one another. As John Paul II explained in the Gospel of Life, God entrusts the lives of each of us, born and unborn, to the care of one another. The vineyard that we have here in the United States in particular equips us with profound gifts of freedom. We can shape our own culture and government. God asks us to bear fruits of life rather than to abuse our freedom with the perversions of choice that end up taking life. Well, friends, to find pro-life reflections on the readings for all the Sundays of the year, go to preachingonabortion.com, where you can also order my book, Proclaiming the Message of Life.